This is The Gorge. It's a podcast where my friends and I get together and we gorge ourselves on what's happening in the world of video games and entertainment.
The Gorge is brought to you by Patreon. That's patreon.com/thegorge, where for just $5 a month you gain access to not one, but two entire podcasts. $5 gets you takeout, monthly commentary track, where we decide we don't feel like playing something, so we talk over it instead. And $2 gets you everything else. Any other bonus content, that's what you get.
A smorgasbord, a cornucopia of material.
Unless we spend the whole month streaming Final Fantasy VII, in which case you get jack and shit.
Because we spent all the cornucopia money on FF7 streams.
And if you spend $10 a month, you get pictures of my dog.
That's right, for 10 ding-dang-dollary dudes.
for 10 whole dollars a month, you get bonus pictures of Peanut, Diva, and Cash, which I think is worth it.
Oh, you're right. I am coming through a little quiet.
No, you're good.
But I can hear you just fine now. I don't know why your waveform is so small. It's weird.
Yeah. I don't know.
Oh, well. It's fine. Ben can boost
I can boost the audio.
Yippee.
What?
I am always having to fine-tune the input levels on this microphone.
Yeah. What was I saying? Oh, right. For all of that and more, patreon.com/thegorge. Join our Discord. Get a fun little thingy by your name. See pictures of Peanut, who is currently sitting right next to my desk, going, "Why aren't you paying attention to me instead?" So,
Peanut, who is currently being fat and sassy.
He's being my
my
fat little boy. Every time I play Final Fantasy XIV now, I look at my Goo minion, and I'm like, that's just Peanut, because he's my little fat boy. So, it's a roundup episode.
It
Yippee
is.
Wahoo. I have not done anything. I have done jack and shit. I played FF7.
Because we were playing a lot of FF7.
Yeah, and spoiler alert: Final Fantasy VII is still a good video game.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways.
I see.
Oh, go ahead.
As I opined on the stream itself, I think, or at least immediately after it. Boy howdy, the way that game ends, if I was someone who liked that game and had to wait several years for compilation material to come out, I would be making Minecraft threats in 1997.
It's almost insulting.
Yeah, I love it. I love, but that's probably because I do have the cultural. I guess I did, but I did play it not when it came out. I played it 2 years after it came out in the United States, ish. So I did play it before Advent Children was even a thing, and I guess my idiot teen baby brain was just
you didn't grasp.
No, I guess I was just it's fine. They all lived. I just instantly was they all lived. It's fine. I will move on with my life now, and then I will read fan fiction about Final Fantasy VII every single day for the next 3.5 years, as one tends to do when a video game totally takes over your brain. That's just how it was, and I never really it's honestly funny. It took me several years to replay the game again, and when I got to the end of it, I was this really ends abruptly, doesn't it?
It really does.
Yeah,
it's very I'll be honest, I don't. The ending may to say whether or not the ending's to my taste or not, whatever. It is however it works out. I don't think it's a bad ending. It does, however, come very suddenly and kind of surprisingly quietly.
Yeah. There is not a lot of bombast for when it finally cuts to credits. It's just Holy and the live stream are here to stop Meteor, and everybody is going to their windows to watch Meteor fall, and then cut to black, and it's and then cut to the extremely ominous shot of Aerith's face, and it's oh.
Right. It's just very funny looking at it again and being the last shot of the hero party is them running away.
Yeah. It's really good.
And you're just like you said, when you're a kid, you're oh no, they're fine, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But then it takes a couple years to kind of put together that was really ambiguous, wasn't it?
It was extremely ambiguous, yeah.
You're wait a minute, that doesn't add up.
you know, and with the future now being here, we have all of Advent Children and Dirge of Cerberus, unfortunately, to reassure us that everything is fine. But like that, you didn't know that for like 10 years. You didn't know that for like 10 whole years. That's like crazy to me.
Very funny.
That's wild. Because it's also like, I guess the thing about it that I was thinking about this a bit, like, why is it that, because I don't mind an ambiguous ending or one that threatens to kill everyone, like, but I think the thing that makes me kind of like feel not sour, but I guess a little like muted on it, is that it's like, it's not a question of whether or not they were successful in calling forward wholly to save the planet or whatever. Mm-hmm. The question at the end when they cut to black and leave everyone's face ambiguous is whether the planet will also save the people on it or not.
Right.
And I guess, like, for me, environmentalism messages that go, maybe mankind is the problem, is like, I don't know, man. You're a person. You wrote the story. Get over yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. I do like it. Maybe, I think I like it because it goes along with, like, the whole theming that FF7 has been doing the entire game, and it's like the thing that I'm chafing the most in retrospect against the remake is that, like, FF7 is extremely explicit in the fact that the planet itself is a living thing. It's like, it is alive and it's sentient. And
it's got meat in there.
It's got meat in there. It's got, like, it can, like, it's thinking thoughts. It's like it's the idea that the planet is in pain is not like a metaphysical nebulous concept. You can hear it screaming in agony, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so, like, the weird ambiguous ending of, like, is the planet going to decide? Basically what I'm saying is that the planet in Final Fantasy VII is a lot like Silent Hill, where it's like a living thing. And sometimes that living thing punishes the shit living in it. And so, like, it's not the usual, like, at least to me, obviously, I'm extremely biased because I've been playing this game for 20-something years. It's not the usual, like, extremely obnoxious eco-fascist thing of, like, maybe humans are the real virus, right?
Right.
It's more like this living thing may or may not decide to, like, you know, preserve its own, like, well-being. And whatever happens just kind of happens. I guess I like it because it's kind of spooky. I like that it's kind of like, like, you know, slightly ominous and spooky. And I think it's weird.
That really pays off in that cutscene specifically because, like, there's no sound effects, which is something that's very weird about FF7's FMV cutscenes in general, is that there are no sound effects at all.
No, they did not. They didn't have the time or the money for the Foley work.
Yeah, that really makes it, like, very ominous the entire time, you know? And
very spooky.
It does come through a lot in that. And, you know, I'm okay with the remake not appealing to that side of it because they're clearly doing different themes between, you know, the original and the remake. Like, it's not trying to tell that exact same story with that exact same concept. Like, it's trying to be something different. But I was thinking, like, what would be the way you would end the remake trilogy to feel the same way? And it would be if you just never saw Zack or Aerith again.
I think the way you end the remake trilogy to make people feel even a fraction of the same way is that you imply that Zack and Aerith are still alive, but you don't make it concrete about where they are, like if it's in the same universe as everybody else or if it's in a different one, you know? Yeah, that's my opinion on how you make it. I mean, you know, I feel like I could do this thing is this whole replaying FF7 thing has been it has done a lot for my estimation of the original FF7 and made me go like, oh right, that's a really good game that I like a lot. It has not done a lot to make me like the remakes as much. It is, in fact, kind of diminished the remakes in my head, which is...
That's interesting.
Yeah, no, the more... I mean, like, yeah, because, like, the more I think about OG, the more, and like I think about it in comparison to the remakes, I'm like, these are so bloated.
I was gonna say, like, and I kind of have the same opinion about the remakes, and that's also considering that, for me, the remakes were my first FF7 experience, period.
Yeah.
Like, and like, you know, obviously there's a lot of things like, oh, this bit in this part of remake is for free kids who remember that shit from 20 years ago or whatever, and like, and that stuff, like, whatever, I don't care about. But for me, it's like, genuinely, I think the original, like, they're telling two different stories. But my problem is that I vastly prefer the original story.
Yeah.
I wonder
if
you
shit
would
just
feel...
doesn't do anything for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I wonder if you would have felt different if you had your hands on the controller too.
Maybe. I don't know.
Because
playing Rebirth?
Yeah, because I never felt... I felt it was long. Obviously, it was a very long game, but like I didn't feel it was bloated in any way.
Ooh, I need to turn my phone on silent when we were
because
recording,
and I wonder if that was just because I was the one who was like, it didn't feel as long for me.
Maybe, but I mean, like, I felt that way about Remake. Like, I was already feeling it in Remake because I've been doing a replay of Remake, right?
Yeah.
And like Remake is still pretty good, but I can like feel the bloat there.
I can understand it in Remake for sure, because that is condensing 5 hours of gameplay into 35 hours.
Yeah, but like when I see Rebirth, I just see the problem. Like Remake is still like it's still like, you know, it's a 20-hour video game ish. And you know, so they quadrupled the size. Like some people are putting in 120 hours into Rebirth.
Those people are insane.
No, I mean, but like that's them just doing all the stuff that the game has. Like, I don't know. And even like, how long did it take us to beat Rebirth as a group?
Like 50 hours?
Yeah, it took us to 20 something. What is it? What was the final hour count?
Like 35 for original.
Yeah, for the whole game. I don't know. My thesis coming out of all of this, I'm realizing, is that ideally the length, if you're going to remake the original Final Fantasy VII, you should only double it in length, right? So if it took me 35 hours to beat the first one, the remake should take collectively 70 hours, because then you've left plenty of room for like new shit and like more character stuff, which is the thing I like about the remake games a lot, right? Mm-hmm. It should be doubled, but we have tripled it, and yeah, like I still like a lot of stuff about Rebirth and Remake and the whole like project. Like there's still a lot of good stuff in there, but coming out of it, like Saturn said, I don't think I like the meta stuff. I don't think I like the shift of what the actual story is about, right? Like, it's about the same stuff, but also no, it's not. There's like a huge shift away from like the whole environmental message. Like, it's just not there anymore. Like the whole, like the fact that everything is very clean and nice looking now makes it hard to believe that this is a planet on the verge of ecological collapse, right? Mm-hmm. Like, you can see it in the original game because it's a fucking wasteland around Midgar, right? You literally step outside of Midgar and everything around it is brown. And you have to walk a little while before you hit any green. And every other town is like old and kind of crusty and falling apart and like kind of rustic and comfy, but still old. And I don't know. Maybe the third game will help me pivot some of this, but currently, all I feel about Rebirth is, and the remake project in general, is that it's too fucking big. It's just too fucking big. They needed to scale it down like significantly, and that the original game is still really goddamn good. And also, it needs to have fixed camera angles in the remake more often. That's actually my other big thing, is that they need to bring back fixed camera angles, just in general.
Yeah, when I talk about what I've been doing with my couple weeks, I'll talk about fixed camera angles and how good they are.
Yeah, because fixed camera angles kick ass. Like, yeah.
The thing that rules about fixed camera angles is that you can spend a lot less time modeling things because you only have to make sure they look good from one side.
Right. Yeah. It's kind of like, I mean, I feel like I'm just dumping on Rebirth a lot now, but I'm going to. I'm sorry. Because, like, one of the things that I think it was Kitase said, the reason they didn't do the Shinra Manor basement, one of the reasons they didn't do the Shinra Manor basement the way it is in the original game, is that they didn't know how to do the stairwell leading down with a 3D camera.
My brother in Christ just fixed the camera angle.
That's what I'm saying! My friend, my dude, just fix the camera angle this one time. Do you know how many people would pog the fuck out if you walked into the spiral staircase in Shinra Manor and the camera swung up and then locked in place? Like, these games are fan service games. They are meant to service people who played the games, 20 years ago. Do a fixed camera angle every now and then. I don't know. It's been a very interesting experience going back and playing the original game. I still really like it, even with all of its crust. And there's a lot of crust.
Oh yeah, that is... But I feel like every stream, there was some instance in which I was like, by the way, y'all said you like this game, right?
Saturn, us... So, I feel like this is the opposite. This is the other side of whenever you and Oates talk about things that happened in early FF14.
Yeah.
When we did the mini game, like the parade mini game in Rebirth, and I was like, look at all this rhythm stuff, and there's like a swirling effect, and like you follow the ball of light as it tells you what button to press, and then we do the one in the OG where the game's instructions are like, oh, press the button.
Someone sent this guy a bomb.
Which button? Press it. When do I what?
And by then you've already fucked up.
Yeah, and then that's like when you and Oates are like, oh yeah, in 2.5,
you just have to turn tank stance on and off.
Yeah, in 2.5, when they introduced Pugilist, you had to punch the keyboard to get it to work.
Yeah, that may as well be true.
Yeah, it's amazing. Just like
Dragoons had a 50% chance of their spears just breaking, and they had to go pick up a new one from the battle.
I actually think they should bring back that one Dragoon skill that they made it so that Dragoons wouldn't die. They've changed it so Dragoons wouldn't die so often. I think they should bring that one back because I think it's funny.
But like, there's lots of things with like classic FF7 though, where it's like, yeah, I've heard the whispers. I've heard Sarah's grumbles about how fucking weird it is that you do a snowboarding minigame while your friend's body is still warm. I didn't realize it was literally within 10 minutes. Yes! It was like a 7-minute long snowboarding minigame with no music!
No music!
And what the fuck are they smoking?
And no real like goal?
No,
you're just snowboarding for no fucking reason.
You're snowboarding just to get down the mountain, to get to like where you're going. That's it. And there's like no reason to, because like for some reason in this fucking snowboarding minigame that doesn't have any music and controls like dog water, by the way.
Oh yeah, I noticed.
Yeah, controls absolutely abysmally. But it's still like, you want to get the balloons, don't you? And I'm like, one, I was just crying about Aerith dying. And two, if you get the balloons, you get nothing for it.
Yeah.
Like, you gain nothing for doing good at the snowboarding minigame right after Aerith dies. And it's just incredible. I mean, we spent 20 solid minutes at one point. Probably the closest we've ever come to an Omicron style, the best friends have now broken up. Thing in any video game is when we had to defend Fort Condor.
Oh God!
Probably the closest I've ever come to actually killing my friends.
Sarah, I didn't want to say during the stream, I was trying to keep my cool, and because I'm like, I haven't played this version of Fort Condor. I'm sure she's trying her best, and the controls just aren't doing anything because it's a fucking PS1 game.
Right.
But the whole time I'm like trying not to scream, Sarah, put the thing there! Put the guy the fuck!
I can't fucking do any of that!
It was so revelatory to go, so, like, is Sara, like, is something, like, how do people do this fast? And the thing that I mean, like, is it just the game's really slow? It looks really slow. And the answer is, no, that's the speed it is. Everyone on YouTube who beats it faster is just like, no, the game's lying to you about how the minigame works. If you try and play it the way they tell you, this will take half an hour. You just move the pieces as far south as you can so they kill everything before... Like
stuff can spawn.
Because then, like, even if it says, like, oh, there's 20 people left or whatever, if there's one guy who shows up on the screen and you killed him before a second guy shows up, it's over. You win.
Exactly.
Like it was, speaking of the best friends, there was playing that and, like, hearing how you talk about the controls afterwards, it was just, and watching you try to fumble with this thing that doesn't work was like one of their early Scrub Lords episodes where they're playing a fighting game where Wooly reveals that you can block throws. And Pat goes, Wooly, it's not that I think you're lying, it's that I can't conceive of a world where you're telling the truth about this. Like, Sarah, when I saw you, like not pressing buttons to do things in this, I'm like, they can't I can't conceive of them programming Fort Condor to not respond to input this badly.
And yet, no, it was horrible. It was probably the dark. It was in fact the Gorge's darkest moment. Please go watch the VOD to just watch all of us lose our mind over the course of like 25 minutes or something.
Every time the counter of enemies went up by 1, I'm like, there's 5 more minutes.
It's incredible. And then we get to the final boss, which I strolled on accident. But, like, spent the whole time in recovery. But, like, I mean, it was over so quickly, too. It was very weird.
Yeah, it was very strange, because, like, we were like, oh, damn, the actual, like, final boss is super easy. We, like, did it in, like, what, like, 2.5 cycles, 3 cycles, something like that?
Yeah.
But it's, like, that was also, though, like, we spent, like, 80% of that fight teetering on the brink of a TPK that would have made us have to end the stream for the night. And then at some point the boss just died and we're like, oh, aced it, easy, every time.
It was, because, like, we spent most of the time, on the back foot, like, recovering.
Right.
You know, like, getting everyone's HP back up, getting everyone on their feet again. And then eventually I'm like, okay, now we're good. Okay, now Sara can actually attack. The boss is dead.
Yeah, like, we had finally gotten everybody back up, because you know how it is in, like, JRP, like, old turn-based RPGs. If one thing goes wrong, it starts like a cascade.
Yeah,
right?
like, one person goes down, so the boss targets that person the second you get them back up.
Yeah, but then you can't get them down, and then everybody else is, like, so focused on trying to get that person back up so you can have full DPS that, like, now those other people are dropping, and it's just been, like, a whole fucking cluster the whole time. And finally, we were like, okay, everybody's back up. Let's go. And I pressed the attack button once, and it was over. And I was oh.
I was literally thinking back, like, when did Sara actually attack the boss the entire time?
And I guess I was attacking still, like, pretty often, but also what saved the day is that Cloud had that counter materia on.
Yeah.
So I was just doing that a lot, I guess. So yeah, the game is very janky, but I love it, and I think it's extremely good to this day. Yeah, maybe just play. But however, I will tell you, I wanted to be like a dorky purist and not play it with the speed up option available, because it's not available on the Steam version anyways. So there's nothing you can do. And, like, for the majority of the game, that's fine. Not having the ability to speed the video game up, who cares? It's pretty fat. You set battle speed to high, you're good, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, he casts Meteor, and you're like, oh, okay.
Still one of the funniest fucking attacks in video game history, because the whole time you're worried about a single meteor hitting the planet, and then Sephiroth can casually cast an attack that destroys the solar system.
That's correct.
And it takes it's a 2-minute long FMV every time, and also he does it every, like, approximately, like, 60 to 90 seconds, which is just great. It's a boss fight of more than half, like, twiddling your thumbs by volume.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. It's really good. And But then we finished it and the game was over, and we did it. Saturn got to see all of Final Fantasy VII in its entirety. And yeah, it's a good video game.
Now we're going to eventually watch Advent Children, and then we'll talk about that on whatever subsequent roundup episode there is.
That's right. Please
look forward for content.
Children.
It's like I said in the other day, where it's like my opinion of Advent Children is, oh yeah, I love BoJack Unbound.
Yeah, it's a Dragon Ball Z movie, but I like it a lot, so it's fine.
I can accept that. I can accept the Dragon Ball Z movie.
Yeah. It's got a bunch of, it's extremely whack, but it also has like a lot of good fight scenes, and yeah, we'll watch it eventually. But that's like, we just spent 25 minutes talking about that, but that's literally all I've been doing. The thing is, I just have a lot to say about Final Fantasy VII. Stoner, I know.
Yeah. Who would have thought?
Who would have thought? That video game that I've been playing since I was like 13. Yeah. That's it though. That's all I got.
Well, speaking of childhood JRPGs that define your life, I've been playing that Thousand Year Door remake.
Yeah.
Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door is one of my favorite games of all time, and I forgot how good it actually is. It is it is a defining RPG.
It is. I almost picked it up actually recently because I was out running errands one day and I'm like, I actually have cash in my wallet for once. Maybe I'll stop at the GameStop that's near where I'm going to be and pick it up. And then I remembered, right, the GameStop isn't open that early. And then I didn't do it.
No! First, I do want to say that as an update, Melissa and I finished 13 Sentinels, which is why I got to play Thousand Year Door for the past couple weeks.
Yay!
That game is also very, very good.
Yes.
I ordered the art book for it, and it arrived the other day.
Could we get... the problem is we need to get PC 13 Sentinels so that we can have someone make the psychopathic mod that exploits the fact that it's all paper doll shit and just mods it to look like Paper Mario.
So the funny thing is, because we played 13 Sentinels on my Switch, because it was easier to move the Switch out to the living room where the projector is than my huge PS5. The Switch is, the main menu of the Switch has like all your games lined up in little cards.
Yeah.
The Paper Mario icon and the 13 Sentinels icon are framed very similarly with the grouping of characters. So just seeing them next to each other, I'm like, wait a minute.
Same game. There's no difference between those two.
But no, Thousand Year Door is like top 5 JRPGs I've ever played easily. I don't know if they punched up the writing at all. I know a lot of it is one for one, but they have changed some dialogue boxes.
I did see they have, as far as I can tell, like, there are certain things that they just translated the same way, but as far as I can tell, they did like do a more or less complete repass on everything.
Like they still have Fire Emblem Toad in the first town, who was playing Fire Emblem on his Game Boy Advance.
The illusion of choice.
Yeah. But they also did a lot to clean up like Vivian's story, and make it less awkward. And like little changes here and there just to like make sentences flow a little better that people have done like comparison screenshots of. But for the most part, it's just 1-to-1, and it's great because I forgot how well written this game is. It is phenomenally snappy. Like everyone is so it's Princess Bride levels of wit.
It's a very funny game.
Yeah, everyone is being funny without telling jokes.
Yeah,
like they're not characters that are trying to be funny. It's just the things they're saying are funny.
Yeah, it's not like Waka Waka. We got jokes. It's just that like all of the dialogue writing is funny and good.
Mm-hmm. And like snappy and charming and clever. It's got one of my favorite bits ever, where one of the villains infiltrates the ship you're taking to go to find one of the crystal stars, and he's dressed like a pirate like everyone else, but he's the only one that's not like a Bob-omb or a Goomba or a Koopa. And he eventually goes, "Hey, you playing the game. Listen, I know that you know who I am, but don't you dare tell Mario that I'm here."
That's great.
If I recall, isn't it also a thing like his shitty disguise also looks like it's constantly on the verge of falling off of him because it's placed on like a really poorly adhesed sticker?
Yeah, like I noticed that this playthrough, like he's wearing like a little pirate cap with like horns on it, and one of the horns is constantly like drooping, like it's falling off.
Yeah.
And when he takes it off, he has to adjust the horn that he's actually wearing and pull it back up so that it's straightened out. Very good. I love it. It just like everything I do just brings a smile to my face in this game. It's so smart and the gameplay is phenomenal. It is the best of the best when it comes to timed hits and little mini games for each action you take in battle.
Right.
The stage like mechanic, I don't know if they've if they've heightened the percentage of how often it triggers, but it feels like it's going off way more often.
Mm-hmm.
Because they'll do things, because like every battle, because you get star power, which is how well you perform on stage.
Right.
Because you're the star. And like you'll have things where like the fog machines can tip over and spray either you or the enemies with fog that will freeze one of you in place. You can have things like spotlights fall on you or the enemy. If you use attacks that can shake the ground, then the backdrop can fall forward. And I feel like they're triggering a lot more than I remember them triggering in the GameCube version. Because I did one fight where I kept doing the power smash move, and it caused the fog machine to fall over, and it stun locked the boss because he just couldn't stop. He kept getting frozen before he could make his action.
That's really good.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, just every chapter is its own fun little thing. Mm-hmm. The peak is obviously the Glitz Pit, where you become a pro wrestler named the Great Gonzalez.
Yeah, of course.
And you solve a little conspiracy mystery while you're climbing up the ranks. You fight a guy who's Macho Man. It's great. Everyone loves the Glitz Pit.
I think my favorite part about Macho Man, about Rock Hawk,
yes,
is still the bit where he comes back much later in the game in one of the Bowser interludes, and he's like, all right, Bowser, I'm gonna take you on, and he goes a thing, and Bowser just instantly defeats him with one jump. Just flattens him. It's like, this guy was the sector boss. It's like, it's not even like a fake battle. It's literally just in a cutscene. He just gets obliterated. I'm like, great. Love that
so
for
good.
you.
I love it.
We have to put Bowser over.
We gotta push Bowser.
We gotta push Bowser for SummerSlam.
Yeah.
Every like little character quirk is just that perfect little chef's kiss touch of like, yeah, we're gonna put Piantas in this game. They're gonna be the Italian mafia. The weird tropical guys from Super Mario Sunshine are going to be in Rogueport, and they're just going to run an illegal gambling, like illegal casino.
Yeah.
And just be mobsters.
I think a lot about how the original Paper Mario, I don't know if 1,000 Year Door still has it, but has that lucky number thing, like that lotto, where like you pick a lucky number and you check the next day to see if you won or whatever. How that's not actually random. Whether your numbers win depends on how many real calendar days it's been since you bought the number. And like
that's
the only way
awesome.
the only way to get the grand prize is to literally wait, I think, like 150 plus days.
Great.
That's so good.
Video game made by psychopaths.
That's right.
I do know there is one. There's like I said, there's a couple little touches that they do to make things a little easier, or a little more smoothly as far as the story goes. There is one great joke that happens early on in the game when you first meet Goombella and you're talking about like the city of Rogueport, and she's like, "Yeah, I just got here so that I can do some field research and stuff." And in the original game, in the background, you see two of the Piantas beat up a guy, and because he hasn't paid his money, his dues.
Right.
So they just beat him up and then walk away. And it happens in the background. In the remake, Mario and Goombella turn around to watch it happen. And then they turn back and Goombella goes, "I hate this place."
Great.
Spectacular.
I love that every single female character wants to get with Mario in it. It's so funny. Mario's at his most adorable little guy he's been since Mario 64. And every single female character is like, "Oh my gosh, this hunk of a man.
I can't resist him.
He's so burly." And Mario's like, "Oh."
It is a bit where I think it works out because like intelligent systems is who they are. Like they just lean into it being this like extremely weird fantasy, but also like the Toad is just fucking perfect.
Oh no,
it's just like it's the handsome mustachioed man, and Mario just can't even like emote. He's
yeah,
like, "Aw," and he like raises his little hand like he's saying hi.
Yeah, he gives a little thumbs up. That's all he can do. No, stellar game, absolutely 10 out of 10. One of the best RPGs ever made. I'm so glad this remake exists. Everyone should play it. Even the 30 frames a second thing is not even a problem because they've increased the range of your reaction commands.
Yeah, I've also heard they've modified the timings for a lot of things quite a lot. So it's like even though it's only at 30 frames per second, those timings are a lot more generous than they used to be.
It's generous almost to a point of detriment for like early on. Cause like I'll wait to like, cause like for instance, one of the things is Koops' attack is you hold the analog stick back until like a meter fills up to a little star icon, and then you release it. You're supposed to release it a lot earlier than the star icon because it'll fill in the gap for you. So it's kind of like slide casting in FF14, where it's like, no, you can keep doing it when you have like 0.5 seconds left on the meter.
Right.
So it's a lot like that, and it took a while to get used to, but now that I have, like, it's so much easier to get commands off.
Right.
They do a nice little thing where when an enemy is attacking and you press the button to guard it, Mario and the partner will actually take a guard stance regardless of if you hit it or not. So you have a much better visual cue of when you're guarding or not.
Okay.
Like, no, I pressed that ahead of time, but I'm still in the guard stance, so it counts.
Okay.
But yeah, absolutely phenomenal fucking game. I could talk forever about how much I love the 1,000-Year Door. It's such an important game to me.
Right.
Just delightful every step of the way. I really hope this means they will actually commit to making more proper Paper Mario games.
Oh no.
Because they've talked about like the success of 1,000-Year Door is maybe the next one will have partners. Maybe we'll put partners back in the next Paper Mario game, which you should, because they're like some of the best parts of that game. You know?
Yeah. No. I don't think they're ever going to make a game like that ever again.
Because it is also like, I know Origami King or whatever was like relatively successful too, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it is also just like, I know a big part of why Insys pivoted from making that kind of Paper Mario was like mandate from the top kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because like Satoru Iwata or someone else, I forget who, I genuinely don't remember who it was.
I think it might be the main man, Miyamoto.
I think it was Miyamoto, yeah.
Yeah, it is Miyamoto. Yeah, it was Miyamoto. It was just like, no, I don't like all these new characters. Just make it about the classic Mario characters. It's Mario. Stop putting all these new characters in. And as a result, we got like 3 Paper Mario games that just don't have anything to latch onto at all. Period.
Yeah.
If a Paper Mario game after 1,000-Year Door has even an ounce of personality in it, Shigeru Miyamoto will in fact come to your house with a gun. I'm sad to say.
Now, Super Paper Mario still had quite a bit of personality, but after Super Paper Mario, they're like, no, everyone hated that for some reason, and also it didn't perform well. The next one's going to be Sticker Star.
Yeah.
And that one was bad, yeah.
Which is a game with a really terrible combat gimmick and like no characters, and like that's it. And it's like, come on.
Come on.
Come on, man.
I'll kill you.
Please.
I also really love the way they handle stats in Thousand Year Door, where getting to do one more point of damage is a huge deal.
Yeah.
I think small numbers RPG.
Yeah,
it's a Dragon Quest system, right?
Yeah, I really love small numbers RPGs. I think that's like a really smart way of keeping things of doing balance, you know, where 40 HP is a big deal.
Yeah, it was very funny to play. Again, going back to FF7 for a minute, it was fun because I haven't really played like a big numbers JRPG in a while, and so going back to FF7, I was like, oh, these numbers get huge. I forgot. It's like you're doing multiple thousands, like getting more than 10,000. You know, like if you have the double cut materia on, like getting more than 10,000. Points of damage in a single attack is like, ooh, big number, right? It's big really number. Crazy.
But yeah, that's all I have to say about Thousand Year Door for now. I'm not quite done with it. I'm on the train chapter.
Ah, yes.
Okay. I love the train chapter.
One of my favorite non-standard game overs in video game history on the train chapter.
I still think it's very funny because like I mentioned, like everyone wants to get with Mario in this. You meet the Detective Penguin, and who is like, that hat, that big nose, that glorious mustache. This must be Luigi. And he calls you Luigi for the entire chapter.
Great.
He cannot be corrected for anything.
Yeah,
I believe there's also a later segment where like he encounters Luigi or something and like goes, you must be Mario.
Yeah, there's a quest because you can get a little badge that changes Mario's color palette to Luigi's. And you do that you have to wear that badge to complete a little side quest where you meet a Luigi fangirl whose dream is to meet Luigi, and since you can't find him, you have to go be Luigi in his place. But then he shows up anyway, and the girl starts yelling at him and calling him an imposter. And he's like, "What? No, but I'm Luigi. And she's like, "Stand back, Luigi. I'll defend you from this criminal." And he's like, "Maybe I'm not Luigi after all." Then he walks away. Well, that's the other thing is that Luigi in this game, Luigi is on his own quest.
He's off doing his own Paper Luigi the Thousand Year Door.
Yeah.
And like every chapter you can go like run into him with one of his sidekicks in the main town and he'll just regale you the story of the RPG that he's in.
Yeah, it's so funny because like he'll tell you this great tale of like how he stood up against a nefarious foe and like by the skin of his teeth he found the missing compass piece, and then you talk to the partner, it's like, yeah, that's not what happened. He tripped. He tripped and fell over and he knocked something over and it broke everything, and now I'm stuck with him because he owes me money.
One of them is a blooper who is like golden colored or whatever, and you talk to him after Luigi tells his story. He's like, I'm with this guy because the reason I look like this is because he chucked me into lava and now I'm deep fried. And I'm waiting for my chance to fucking kill him. I will have my revenge against this green freak.
My favorite one is the one where he had to save a village from a monster that demands a bride sacrifice every couple of months or so. And so it led to the gag of Luigi wearing a dress. And he talks about how like he was absolutely crushing the princess fit until they could defeat the monster. And then when you talk to his sidekick, he's like, yeah, no, I have to stick with Luigi because if he ever puts on stilettos again, he's going to cause a clumsy apocalypse. Like, when he put on those shoes with those heels, he was falling over everything. And it is my goal to make sure he doesn't even look at a high heel ever again.
All of Luigi's friends hate him.
It's so funny. No, except for there is one that loves him, and that is the one that he did a stage play with. Where Luigi, because he is green, had to play the role of grass. and the crazy daisy with him is like, he was the best grass I've ever seen in my years of theater. So good. I love this game.
Paper freaking Mario, baby.
Oh, Paper Mario.
The only other thing I did that's of importance is that Jonathan Hickman finally put out the first issue of The Ultimates.
Yes.
And because of that, I decided to get caught up on all the rest of the new Ultimate Universe stuff. Obviously, Ultimate Spider-Man is peak 10 out of 10, best comic of all time.
Sure, of course.
And Ultimate Black Panther is also very good. It's as someone who's never been like a huge Black Panther fan, because I just didn't really read any of his stuff. Mm-hmm. It's very good. Usually his stuff is a lot more politics is more modern stuff, is like politics focused.
Sure.
And this is that, but it's also definitely got a lot of crazy mystical superhero stuff going on in it.
Oh, fun.
Very good. Ultimate X-Men is a horror manga.
Ooh.
Yeah, Is
it good?
Yes.
Okay.
It is written by a Japanese writer. It is illustrated by a Japanese artist, Peach Momoko.
Oh.
It is set in Japan.
Okay.
And it is about a girl who is possessed by a spirit that will protect her from any harm.
Oh dear.
And what that means is the first time it manifests is when she's about to get hit by a car, and it totals the car.
Oh, that's so good. Okay.
It's a horror manga. That's like, it is all the trappings of your good old horror manga. She's racked with guilt because a friend committed suicide. And she was kind of partially to blame with it because she didn't really do much to help him.
Right.
She's not very popular in school because she's kind of an outcast because of the suicide and a bunch of other dark stuff that's happening. The only friend she makes is a little bit fucked up and tries to get her in trouble and takes huge risks and stuff. And it's great. It's like some of the best stuff out there right now. Like, it's so different from the rest of the Ultimate comics that it stands out.
Right.
And then the Ultimates itself has a fantastic presence. Oh god, it's so good. So the whole idea is that it is a young Tony Stark, Reed Richards, who is this universe's Doctor Doom.
Yeah, I saw Red talking about that on Twitter. Yeah.
And Captain America and Thor and Sif. And the whole premise of this new Ultimate Universe is that the Maker, who is the evil Reed Richards from the original Ultimate Universe, escaped and found this new timeline, and he's like, well, I'm not going to deal with any of that superhero bullshit, and just manipulated events to prevent heroes from existing in the first place.
Right.
Which had this huge, great cataclysmic effect on the rest of the planet and the way that's structured and like how borders and whatnot. And
sure.
Jonathan Hickman puts his map of the new world in the first issue, and it's like, because he loves his maps and his charts. He loves making maps and charts.
That's such a good sentence. He loves his maps and his charts.
Like, if you read any of the Krakoa era X-Men,
sure,
like there's just every other page is a chart.
Sure. Or a map.
And so the current this timeline's Reed Richards. That's why he is Doctor Doom, is because the Maker is like, this will be funny.
Okay, that's fair.
And so they managed. So the Maker has locked himself in Latveria, and the country has been sealed off for the next 2 years.
Right.
No one's getting in or out. So he's not watching right now.
Yeah.
So Tony Stark and Reed and them are like, okay, we know that things are fucked up. We have these glimpses of a future where there's superheroes running around. Like they can see what's happening in the original 616 timeline.
Right.
They're like, we need to get on that. We need to find these people and turn them into superheroes. And it goes poorly.
Yeah, no, I can't imagine.
So their first plan is that they're just going to send these programmed messages with these orbs that have like the source of their power. It's like Spider-Man gets an orb and a recorded message that's saying like, hey, you were supposed to be this great hero. Here's the spider that was supposed to bite you.
Right.
You know, do you accept it? And then they check up on their progress after 6 months, and it's like, oh, only 2 people it took for them. It took for Spider-Man and Captain Marvel.
Oh, no.
Everyone else either ignored it, got arrested, or killed themselves with their powers. And they're like...
Wait, that's an awesome premise. What the fuck?
Well, shit. And then they're... Because the Maker also, like, cleared a bunch of pieces from the board before they even had their chance.
Yeah, of course.
So, like, one of the early, like, preview issues... They're walking around the Maker's, like, trophy room deep under S.H.I.E.L.D. headquarters. And they're like, oh, that's the corpse of Black Bolt when he was a child. Like, the Maker just killed this kid.
Yeah.
Oh, that's Wolverine's adamantium skeleton. Oh, shit. Wolverine isn't going to be in this one.
Yeah, that owns. Okay.
The rest of the Fantastic Four are dead.
Sure.
Like Sue Storm, Johnny Storm, and Ben Grimm are dead.
Yeah.
And like there's a lot of Reed like seeing what could have been and being like feeling that guilt and that anguish of like not getting that anymore.
Right. Yeah. Not getting to have that life.
There's a great bit in the first issue of Ultimates where they wake up Cap from the ice and he's like, oh, it's 2024, huh? Who's the president? And they're like, so the narration is like, we had to explain to him that there's no more United States of America. He didn't take it well. The next panel is like Thor and Sif trying to hold him back while he's thrashing the lab.
That owns. Okay. That fucking rules.
The first issue is that because like their new strategy is like, okay, well the pre-recorded messages didn't take. Yeah, we're gonna have to do this in person.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to go find out who's left and see if we can talk them into this.
Right.
So they go find Hank Pym and Janet Van Dyne, and they're exterminators.
That's cute. That's cute.
And it's revealed that like Hank Pym did get the pre-recorded message and just ignored it because he's like, yeah, I saw what I'm supposed to be. A great, brilliant scientist, a superhero, the guy who made Ultron.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he's like, I don't know if I want to do that.
Sure.
That's a huge risk. I don't want to get to become part of that. Meanwhile, Janet's like, hell yeah, I'll be the Wasp. That sounds dope as shit. But it's like, what a strong premise to have.
Sure,
where
absolutely. It's just fantastic like setup for your spin-off like timeline thing.
This idea of like, well, because like the original Ultimate Universe is like, well, what if all the superheroes started in modern day? Like, and that was they tried to kind of one by one recreate certain things, but like this is like, well, you can't.
Right.
You can't do that anymore. This whole premise is your past was stolen from you. Your future was stolen from you. What would you do to get it back?
Right, yeah. That's like, great. That's fantastic.
It's so good. Oh, fuck.
Yeah. That sounds actually really good, actually.
Yeah. I would honestly, because like, honestly, like, I would recommend reading Ultimate X-Men because it is so far, it is like very separated from everything else.
Sure.
And it's like so thematically different, and it is just like reading a horror manga. Like I would recommend that even if you aren't a big superhero person.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
But yeah, that's it. Like I finished the first issue of the Ultimates, and I like I couldn't stop smiling the whole time.
Right.
But yeah, that's it for me.
Cool. Saturn?
I've done 2 things this week.
Ooh.
The first of these, and the one I have the lesser to say about, is I reinstalled Elden Ring to get ready for the DLC. And I've been playing a little bit of Elden Ring. And Elden Ring is really good.
Surprise, surprise.
Wow,
Elden
really? I
Ring's
didn't know
still
that.
good.
Yeah, I was just like doing cleanup on optional bosses and stuff like that on the clear I was on. I fought Melania again and beat Melania, which feels great.
Nice.
Melania is the ultimate motherfucker boss who cheats.
Of course.
So I was like, being able to get her beaten inside of an hour felt good.
Like an hour of that boss battle, or an hour of like progress to get to that boss battle?
An hour of attempts on that boss battle.
I see.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Worth noting, an attempt can end as quickly as like 10 seconds in.
Yeah, sounds about right.
And I ended up spending less than that. I want to say I probably spent like 30 to 45 minutes on it all told.
Sure.
But like that was a lot better than my first attempt at that boss, where I spent probably an entire day.
Yep.
Probably an entire day trying to beat that boss, because she's a motherfucker who cheats.
Correct.
But I bring that up though because it is also like, it has been more than 2 years since I've played Elden Ring. But the extent to which you learn some of the content in it to beat it like just the first time goes like, oh man, fighting Melania is like riding a bicycle. Like I remember I remember the dodge timings for all these moves. Right. And it's like, Elden Ring.
Been burned into your brain.
Yeah, and so I'm looking forward to that DLC coming out on the 21st or whenever that is.
Yeah.
I feel all ready for that. The other thing that I did is I made progress on the first game of Junepocalypse. The one that did not get a spot on the Discord icon because I'm the only person in the entire server who cares. I played the new Destiny 2 expansion.
Nice.
How do you like it?
You know what? It's really weird that finally after it's going to be the 10th anniversary of Destiny this year. Of Destiny 1, not Destiny 2.
Okay.
But like still like the 10th year of Destiny. And you know what? 10 years in, they have, I think, finally figured out the formula for campaigns that works super well, is really engaging. The post-game content is all really fun and cool. There's no parts of it that feel like tacked on or bolted on. They finally, like, Destiny 2, and like this is to a certain lesser than Destiny 1, but they've been trying to get for a very long time trying to figure out the fantasy of like the patrol zone, right? Where it's like, this is the, MMO area that you hang around in with the idea that you're going to do like public events and this, that, and the other. And they've spent 10 years trying to figure out a version of this that is interesting or fun at all. And they got there.
Finally.
They figured it out. They worked out the formula.
It only took 10 years.
Wow.
They worked out the formula where it's like, this is a big zone that will it will do what we need it to do for the single player content and all the other quests and stuff we have to bolt in there. But also the bit where you go into it for like pattern holding play. Where you're just doing like weird little mini events and killing things and whatever.
Sure.
They figured out the pacing and format for it that makes it, you go like, yeah, I'll buckle in for like 10, 15 minutes of this and get some stuff banged out and make a little bit of progress and yada, yada, yada. And it's like, that all works. And the campaign, also really great.
Good.
They, in lieu of doing a new, every like major expansion for the most part, like with like one notable exception, they'll do like, all right, here's our new power set. For like one of the more recent ones in like 2020 is like they added these fourth power set, which is ice, and then like recently they added the fifth one, which is it's called Strand, but it's like some sort of like weird like thread magic kind of thing. This one, at first they were being kind of coy about it. It's like, yeah, we're adding one new super to each of the classes that's like for their Like, so one of it's the lightning class for hunters, or the solar class for warlocks, or the void class for titans, right? It's like, that's strange. It's really nothing. Like, they haven't done one like that since, like, Destiny 1, where it was, like, it was, like, kind of a big deal to, like, add a new thing. But then they revealed the actual gimmick is they added a new class called Prismatic, which is, alright, you have these 5 classes that are all oriented, like, for each of your 3 classes, your warrior, your rogue, and your mage, you have 5 elemental subclasses. That's like, they have this specific fantasy, but they're all keyed around doing a specific element.
Sure.
These elements all kind of have like Hearthstone keyword kind of things, where it's like, they'll have, like solar can inflict Scorch, which does a damage over time effect. It can also do a buff called Radiant, which you can earn by doing this, that, or the other. And they have their own little bespoke economies. Prismatic is, we looked at all 5 of these subclasses, and we took the shit that no one ever uses in them, just because it's worse than the other metagame breaking options. And we made it so that they all work with each other. And we put it into a class that can use stuff from all 5 of the elements.
Ooh.
And so it's like a really like a super customizable mix and match thing. And it has like a new unique mechanic where it's like, okay, well, you have a mixture of light elements and dark elements. And like you charge up these transcendence bars for both like a red mage. And when they're both full, you can enter a transcendent state where like your melee and grenade energy recharge super fast, and also you get a super powerful grenade and all this other like weirdness.
Yeah.
And like the new supers for each of those elements is specific to this new mix and match class, and they're all like very cool, weird new things.
That's fun. Okay.
Nice.
So like the fantasy of using that has been very fun.
Yeah.
The literal only thing I can say about it is like the one thing I don't like about it is like the one thing I don't like of a lot of a certain more recent era of D2, which is like, I don't think the big bad they have settled on is very compelling. They've got like he's not Thanos,
Right.
but he's that kind of guy, right?
Sure.
Where it's like, this is the one weirdo who's an alien who has like the entirety of their failed society resting upon their shoulders, and they want to inflict trauma upon the universe as a way of like resolving their own problems or whatever.
Right, yeah, of course.
Right.
And like, Destiny is the kind of very its touchstones are always like 70s sci-fi, right? So like super weirdo shit. And having like a kind of humanoid alien with a very human mindset and prerogatives as like your big bad of the thing is just like, it's just extremely boring to me.
Sure.
It kind of squanders all the possibility of the setting to do like, and here's this guy, here's the puppet master who did it all, and everything's his fault, instead of being like what a lot of the game prior to is kind of focused in is like this idea of basically being caught between the two deities of the creative force of existence and the destructive force of existence, personified as gods that exist. And
Right.
being kind of like crushed under this, like, often this cosmic horror of like, you are simply, even as a superpowered human, too small to meaningfully affect this thing that can instantly make your life hell no matter what you do.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And trading that for like some guy is just like, all right, guys, I get it. This is from the era of thing where everybody watched Avengers and wanted to have like a more Marvel-y kind of vibe for their thing, like for Civil War or for Endgame or whatever. And I just don't think it really works for the things that I like about Destiny.
Yeah, absolutely.
However, compared to like the Witch Queen and Beyond the Light, or Lightfall rather, which are the most two recent ones, I think the quality of writing in general is significantly better. The sense of humor lands more often. The emotional beats actually dial into specific experiences that the characters have, instead of just talking very nebulously about trauma and like general sort of like that sort of thing. And as a result, I think those beats tend to work a lot better. James Urbaniak is in it.
Yeah!
One part of the thing is with it focusing kind of on like the Vanguard heads, who are just like sort of like the big, they're your city-state leaders basically from FF14, but they're like actually important instead of not at all. But one of the ones is that Zavala, the guy who is formerly played by Lance Reddick before his passing and is now being played by Keith David.
That makes sense.
That's a good...
Because, very similar thing. But also, they were like, we don't want to get a sound alike. We want to get a guy who's going to play the character in the same way, even if it doesn't sound correct. And it's like, I think that was a smart call. But his ghost is named Targe, and he is played by James Urbaniak. And, you don't quite notice it the first scene, because he's kind of doing this, stilted kind of weird delivery as ghosts tend to do, but then you get a scene where he has fairly normal dialogue, and it is just Rusty Venture.
That's awesome.
It is the cadence and everything. It's just that the lines are slightly less jokey, but they are every bit as bitter and sardonic, and it's yes.
It is funny when you hear a voice actor that you know for one specific role talk normally, and you realize that the voice you do for that character is almost their normal speaking voice.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a little bit different, and so when they get excited, you can hear that character.
Yes,
and that's James Urbaniak because again, that voice is it's not like New Vegas where he's literally just you're doing a Rusty Venture reference, right? He's just doing a completely serious character, but as Rusty Venture.
Yeah.
It was a little distracting at a point, but also I love it, so it's fine.
I gotta find a clip of him talking.
Yeah, I'll have to find a clip of that specific character so I can show you. I tried looking before the show, but because there was some server issues yesterday, there's not a ton of footage of the cutscenes and everything up there yet. Mm-hmm. The only other thing, and this is the thing, is I finished the campaign and everything. I technically don't know how Destiny 2 ends yet, because they're doing the insane thing that they stopped doing for a while, but are doing now, which is the actual final boss and the conclusion of the story are behind the raid, which is coming out in
it's insane. Okay.
Yeah, and they've done it before.
Sure.
They did it for the Taken King in Destiny 1. They did it for Forsaken in Destiny 2, but they usually don't do that. They'll have the raid be something that's related to the main plot, but not the actual ending of the campaign, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But this one, they're no, it's the final boss of the series broadly until we start getting into whatever we're doing after. Yeah. It's going to be a raid boss.
I guess that makes sense. And people raiding as a thing is way more common in Destiny 2, I assume.
Right.
Well, that's the funny thing.
Oh no!
Not really.
What are you? What?
What? Hold on.
What?
But
no.
But
here's it's one of the things we talk about though, which is and as part of approach that they did to make the main campaign more interesting, is also that they added mechanics to the thing, in terms of puzzle mechanics and this, that, or the other, where it's these are raid style mechanics.
Mm-hmm.
They are less exacting or whatever, but unlike the raids, which tend to have their own weird things, we are making you learn to do raid type content in the single player story mode, so that going and doing the raid is less imposing.
Okay.
And time will tell if that strategy pans out.
That's what I was thinking.
Interesting.
Because if you told me that say, I don't know, 85% of all Destiny 2 players raid, so they put the end of the story behind the raid.
No.
Then I would be no, that makes sense, right? Because I don't think that many people in again, Final Fantasy XIV is my only touchstone. Woman who only plays Final Fantasy XIV says, getting a lot of Final Fantasy XIV vibes off of this thing. If I don't think that many people raid in Final Fantasy.
I think FF14 is a single-digit percentage of people raid.
Right, and I don't even mean savage raids. I mean
yeah, in general,
just do normal raids, right? If you told me 10% of Final Fantasy XIV's player base did normal raids, I would believe you.
And the thing is, I think maybe 10% of Destiny 2's player base raids.
Okay, so it's insane then.
That's crazy.
Because here's the thing,
okay.
And I've explained this before on the show, but to reiterate, the thing with a Destiny 2 raid is that it's basically the time investment equivalent of getting a static together to do a Savage raid, right?
Right.
It's not as crazy difficult, but it is still you need yourself and 5 friends, and this is going to take you maybe 2 to 3 hours, depending on whether you know the content or not.
That's crazy.
That is insane. Yeah.
To lock your final boss behind that.
Yeah,
It's
so
balls. I kind of respect it because it's really ballsy.
it's
but
possible they'll do a thing where it's like there'll be a single player version of like here's the basic bitch.
Right.
There's possible we'll get the La Habrea curb stomp
Right.
thing, right? But they haven't indicated that they're going to.
That's
so it would
insane.
be really... Because also part of the thing is, too, like, it's one of the very funniest things that Destiny 2 does, which is, like, if you don't do the raids versus if you do the raids, the game will say different things about the raid itself. Whereas if you do... Like, the raids are all canon. They all happen, right? If you did the raid, character dialogue about the raid will indicate that it was something that you did. But if you didn't do the raid, but like the world state has changed, they will talk about it as though it was something someone else did, which is very funny.
That's awesome. I love that. Okay.
Because like it's just baffling to me. Because like thinking about it, like they could like if FF14 was like the final fight of Endwalker is raid, that would be crazy. But like. Enough people do raids that, like, yeah, you could make that mandatory.
Well, it's like, I guess the way I would say it specifically is, like, for comparative, it's like, alright, the end of, the, like, End Singer
right.
is an at-level extreme.
Right. Oh, okay.
It does not, you will not have item level scaling. You have to fucking nut up and figure out this fight with, like, 7 other people.
Right, I understand now.
And that's the only way you get to see the actual... And, like, you can get credits and, like, be done... But the only way to actually finish the fight, like it would be like if you got credits roll before you went to Ultima Thule, and then Ultima Thule was an Alliance raid series.
Okay.
And like it was a hard Alliance raid series, like it was like Savage or whatever. But it's like you had to do that. You had to do that Alliance raid series to see the end of the story. Period.
That's just crazy to me.
I think that's insane, but also because I'm a sicko, I think FF14 should do that.
I think FF14 should also do that. You know what? People would have the Alliance raids done if it was mandatory to do them. Case in point, Crystal Tower.
That's correct. I think my most sicko opinion of FF14 is that I think all of the raids and all of the Alliance raids should be mandatory.
Agreed.
Yeah, because that's also part of what Destiny does. It's like, there aren't a lot of... Like, there's the occasional raid where it's like, yeah, you don't need to, like, worry about this, it's whatever. But generally speaking, like, even for the ones where it's not like this, where it's like the end of the story is compelled with it, like, they're all canon and they all matter.
Yeah.
Like, the completion of this, that, or the other raid, for whatever raid it is always, like, a significant event in the story.
Sure, yeah.
And in this case, it's the literal end of like, the main thrust plot that's been going for the last 10 years, is beating up the big bad guy, who is a raid boss. But also, like, that's how it was with, like, Taken King, right? Where it's like, you do your campaign, Oryx is the big bad, the Taken King, who has all the Taken in the Hive and whatever, and he's there. And, like, you do the campaign basically to, like, set up... Like, the campaign for the Taken King in Destiny 1 is to open up the raid. And you don't kill Oryx until you do the raid. Which is, again, like, it kind of works out because, like, there's some interview or something that suggests that, like, before Activision meddling in Destiny 1, like, Oryx was conceived of as, like, the original idea for the big bad of the franchise, right? Because he's, like, just an actual god, basically.
Sure.
Right.
And they were kind of compelled much in the Twin Peaksian revealing the killer sort of way, compelled by their publishers to do something with him way earlier than they wanted to.
Correct.
But yeah, I don't know. It's been fun. They are constantly... They have so many weird ideas for this expansion pack, more so than they've had for really any of the expansions in the last several years. Of just like, no, here's a weapon that does something insane. Here's a new power set that behaves in a completely strange way that will turn the entire game on its head. Here's a story mission with raid mechanics, because go fuck yourself. All these other things. And, like, I wish every Destiny expansion was firing on these many cylinders. I guess it's good that the last big one... I mean, they might do more after this. I don't know what their exact plan is. Like, they've kind of indicated they're maybe pivoting to doing, like, just doing, like, their seasonal content going forward, maybe. But, like, if every expansion pack was firing on these cylinders, I would be never shutting the fuck up about getting people to play Destiny 2.
Mm-hmm.
Understandable. But you got to get through 10 years of it to get to that part.
Well, they've removed a lot of the 10
that's
years.
true. That's true. Destiny removes all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. However, there is always a thing where it's like, they stopped removing that at a certain point. I think it's literally just they didn't want to be on the hook for constantly having to rebalance stuff that other companies made, because like a lot of their Activision tenure was like, yeah, this entire expansion pack was made by Vicarious Visions and not Bungie. Because this Vicarious Visions was just sourced by Activision to pump this thing out, and they just don't want to be on the hook for all that. And also because Destiny 2's original plot line is really boring and bad and stupid. But for the I want to say, like, since Shadowkeep, so, like, the last, like, 5 or 6 expansions, those stories are all still in the game. And if you were someone, like, I want to do the most complete Destiny 2 experience I can. I want to go through a whole bunch of campaigns. I think, currently on sale, the Destiny 2 Legacy Collection for $24.50, which is just, there it has all the campaigns from before the final shape.
Okay.
Just period. And it's like, so that's still there if you ever wanted to do that. I like it, but also I don't know that I'm going to tell anyone, hey, you need to spend $24.50 on these campaign packs and then also get Destiny 2 and Beyond Light for an additional like $60 or whatever.
Right.
Because ultimately it's just like, it's a Bungie shooter. Like, you're coming there because you want a Bungie shooter, basically.
Yeah.
All else is a secondary concern.
Correct.
But it's good. I liked it. I was expecting to be a lot cooler on that than I was. So I'm thrilled that I've actually been really enjoying myself.
Delighted to not be disappointed.
Excellent.
Yeah. I'm always ready for Bungie to disappoint me, and they always find a new way to impress me from the fires of my extreme contempt for
Yeah.
But yeah, that was my week.
Cool.
All right.
Tell me it's a light news week.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
This first one actually is a little bit outdated, but Last of Us director says AI will push the boundaries of storytelling in games.
And then they took that whole interview
And
down
then-
because they like, I guess, completely I don't like Druckmann, but I do think it's extreme. Like, I think he's a hack, and he's a Zionist, and we hate his ass, right? Like, even if he wasn't a Zionist, I also think he's just a bad writer, right? But he's also a Zionist. And so I think it's extremely funny for Sony to just, like, totally misrepresent their, like, golden child game director.
Like, looking at the transcript of the interview that this supposedly came from, he didn't say anything like that at all.
It's amazing.
They just wholesale made up quotes for him.
Yeah. Very funny.
Very funny story. Just like, yeah, you're right. He's a terrible person no matter what. But it's still just funny to be like, well, why would you make it worse?
Why would you lie about the stuff he said? I don't understand. Oh well.
Speaking of AI, next Google scrambles to manually remove weird AI answers in search.
This is possibly the funniest. I mean, it sucks because, you know, Google is now unusable, but Google's been unusable for a while now.
Right.
This is extremely funny though, because this is Saturn and I were talking about it in just group DMs. This is because Google pays Reddit $60 million a year for their data, and they're like, well, we gotta use it. And so they're just pulling randomly, not even like extremely highly upvoted answers, right?
Yeah, that's the weird part, is they're pulling like instructions from like 6 years ago. They got like 14 upvotes.
Yeah. It's very bizarre.
Like the one where it's like, if you want to make your cheese stick to your pizza, just add like an eighth a cup of non-toxic glue.
Yeah.
Like that's literally just some shitty joke some dude made once and got like 11 upvotes, and that's the Google AI result. It's so insane.
That one is especially funny to me because when I saw that, there were people talking like, oh, I know what happened is that Google pulled this information from an advertising firm. Where it's like, to get the like if you're filming a commercial for cheese pizza, you mix the cheese with like glue of some kind to get it to stretch better.
Yeah.
So it's integrity. But it's like, no. They just pulled it from some arbitrary Reddit joke post.
It's amazing.
Amazing. Now people are trying to game the system. They're like
just
trying
posting insane things on Reddit so
Yeah.
it'll come up in AI results.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now they're scrambling to manually go through and remove these bad answers.
But not, and it needs to be pointed out, not just disable the whole system
Yeah,
until
no,
they
no.
can work out the kinks, because they are paying $60 million a year for this shit.
Yeah, because no, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it always gives wrong answers.
Mm-hmm.
We did find a dog that talks.
Right.
We
Yeah,
can't.
that
We
sums it
can't.
up.
We can't let go of this talking dog, no matter how many times it tells depressed people to kill themselves.
Yeah. What do I do about my suicidal ideations? Kill yourself, according to Google.
Locations of high bridges near you.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. Oh fuck.
A little bit of a sad one next.
Oh no.
But
we've always got bad news.
We've always got some of this. Kabosu, the Shiba Inu who helped define the Dogmean, dies at 18.
Oh well, that's sad, but also
Yeah.
18.
18!
18.
That the person who owns that dog was always very open about how they were rescued from a puppy mill.
Mm-hmm.
And all things considered, the fact that a dog that is born into those kinds of adverse circumstances can live to be a happy, healthy, and comfortable 18 fucking years old.
Yeah.
You're lucky if you get a Chihuahua to live 18 years old,
Yeah.
much less a fucking Shiba Inu. Those are like full medium-sized dogs.
Yeah, like 18 for a dog, and to have been in until the last year of her life, to have been in relatively good health.
Yeah.
Right? I think I remember I read once that Kabusu had had a cancer diagnosis and beat. And so for 17 of those 18 years, after being rescued from the puppy mill, being happy and healthy basically until the end is more than you could really ever want for your dog, for your extremely old dog. We could all hope and pray our dogs live to be 18, right? That's fantastic, right?
Mm-hmm.
To have your dog live that long is wonderful. So
what is your favorite dog meme?
I just like the original. I'm simple.
I like the original. I got a little tea-time brain.
I again, it has a special place in my heart because I was there when it was made.
That's right.
I watched that shit be born on Tumblr by a friend of a friend.
Yep.
It's so bizarre knowing that became what it did when I was literally just watching it be a couple hundred note whatever post from one of my near acquaintances and just becoming this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think mine, besides the original, I think my favorite is they'll never check the profile picture.
That's a clean second place.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so good.
It's perfect. Either that one or the one of the dog inventing lean.
Yeah.
Because of the implication that it's the Sprite that turns it into lean.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good.
Next, Twitch streamer Germa985 announces retirement. Quote, I got everything I wanted out of it.
End of an era.
He's also made clear, and this is the thing too, where it's him saying he's retiring just means yeah, I'm gonna stream when I feel like it, which is sometimes, which is basically what he's been doing for the last 2 years anyway.
Sure.
I guess he's retiring from doing insane things like locking himself in a house with no doors and being a live action sim.
Well, because also he has a job doing that now, which is the thing where it's I think he's retiring from streaming because when he does those in the future, or if he does those in the future, or if he's involved in those in any way, whether it's him as a starring role or not, it's going to be as part of the production company that he now works for in a significant capacity and not as a Twitch stream thing.
Right.
Presumably.
Presumably. I don't know.
I don't think he's retiring from working because he is like 35 or whatever.
He probably could, though.
I mean, he makes a lot of money for a Twitch streamer, but also, like, when you don't Twitch stream, you don't make that much money, and he does spend a lot of it doing dumb bits. So, who knows?
I've never watched any of Germa's stuff.
He's a fairly normal streamer, but then, like, his event things are just the most unmedicated psychopathic shit, but, like, in really enjoyable, funny ways. He's a great improv comedian, is the thing.
Was he part of that project that I think Markiplier did, where they did 24 days of something and then never put it up as an archive at all?
I don't think so. He does a lot of like stunt shit. He did that one, my favorite, more so than the I'm a real sim or locking myself in a room for 24 hours or whatever. My favorite one he did was the one that was like clowns versus wizards baseball game.
Great.
That sounds great.
Where he just got a bunch of professional clowns and professional magicians or whatever to put on baseball uniforms and play baseball against each other and do their stupid gimmicks while they're playing baseball.
I kind of want to watch that now.
Yeah, that one's super good. Also, he had like an archaeology stream, I remember, where he
I do remember that.
Yeah, he did a bunch of really weird shit. And now he doesn't.
Now he doesn't.
At least not in his capacity as a Twitch streamer.
Right.
Maybe for other things. Who knows?
Put that guy on Game Changers or something.
Yeah.
Ritually sacrifice Jeff Keighley and let Germa take his place.
That would also work.
I think that Germa's never been on Dropout.tv before, like at all.
Also, Germa could, if you ever needed someone to play a young Willem Dafoe.
Yes.
I do see that.
Identical,
yes. Oh, they should get Germa to play Harry Osborn in the new Spider-Man movie.
I love that idea.
That would be like...
First movie to make $1 trillion.
Yeah, that's your idea.
The problem with the unfortunate thing for Germa is that it's hard for him to be any kind of like leading man in the movie for the same reason it is for basically anyone, which is that he's like 5'2" or something.
Hey, Saturn, that didn't stop Robert Downey Jr.
I guess that's true.
That's true. Yeah, he's extremely short.
You put some platforms on that boy, you're in business.
How tall is he?
Very small. Robert Downey Jr. is a small man.
He's a very short man. It's very funny because like Gwyneth Paltrow is like significantly taller than him.
He's not that short.
5'8".
He's 5'8".
That's pretty short. For a guy.
For a guy, I guess. Yeah, sure. He's taller than Tom Cruise by an inch.
That's not
Well, that's
hard.
also
Tom
not
Cruise
very hard.
Is a manlet. Yeah.
Saturn, to compare though, Chris Evans is 6 foot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Chris Evans is also Chris Evans.
Look at how tall Gwyneth Paltrow is and understand like the disparity there.
Well, she's like what? Oh, she's 5'9"?
Oh, is she only 5'9"? I thought she was like 5'10".
She's only an inch taller than him.
That's very funny. They had to put him in lifts like constantly for those movies because like they don't want the love interest to be taller than the protagonist for some reason. So
Cowards
is what I say. That's why Gwyneth Paltrow never wears heels in those movies.
Look, there are very few women in this world who will ever be taller than me, but if I meet one, my God.
Your new wife instantly, yeah.
Uh-huh.
What else?
Next, every trailer from the 2024 PlayStation State of Play.
Well, except for Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
But also
me.
Monster Hunter is also a known quantity. Like, they had already announced the Monster Hunter Wilds, and seeing more Monster Hunters is like, hey, it's Monster Hunter Worlds again. You guys like that one. Do you want to play this one? We know you didn't really care that much for Rise because it was a Switch game. This one's one of the big ones again. And everyone's
it's a real one.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one's like, everyone's like, Pog, cool. Great, more Monster Hunter. Sounds lovely. That's just going to be good. I'm going to buy it day one.
I do have to say that the record has finally been broken in that Concord had the least thematically appropriate trailer for the game it actually is.
What an absolute dog shit trailer.
That I have seen since Dead Island 1's trailer.
Yeah.
That is the worst possible way to represent what your game is. Because the whole time I'm watching the Concord trailer, I'm like, okay, is it a squad based shooter? Is it a Mass Effect where you're making choices? Is it a Guardians of the Galaxy thing?
No,
Like,
it's
is it an
Overwatch.
RPG? It's Overwatch.
It's so funny, like with this and the Valve one that has been leaking or whatever, where it's just like everybody underestimated how fucking much time and money it takes to make an Overwatch, and now they're all coming out after not even Overwatch can succeed at being Overwatch.
Right. Like the whole time I'm just like, well, what is this going to be? And then it's the worst possible thing to make your game.
It's an Overwatch with some of the most hideous character designs I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, they're all bad. I did not see a single one of them. It is like
you made a game entirely out of background characters.
It's incredible to me how much this is just like, we really wanted to make a Guardians of the Galaxy Overwatch clone.
Right.
And it's so bad and boring looking. There's and then they do the thing where they're like, at the beginning of every week, there'll be new little animated vignettes for all of our characters. I'm like, why didn't you just make a first-person single-player game then?
Yeah.
Why don't you make a real video game then? What's your problem?
Like I'm watching this, like the whole time I'm just thinking, like, these character introduction videos peaked with Team Fortress 2, okay? They already did. You can't beat them.
Like, Overwatches were really good, at least in the beginning. Overwatch had a lot of really, really good ones. And, like, to me, everything about Concord reeks of, like, we really want to just fix the mistakes of Overwatch, where, like, the storyline that everybody wanted never materialized, right? But, like, it's too late, because nobody wants Overwatch anymore. It's too late.
No, because people realize the problem with wanting a specific story from Overwatch is that kind of game is anathema to telling any kind of narrative at all.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Just embarrassing.
Like the failure of Overwatch is reducible to that one meme post, like, of, like, McCree going, like, Soldier 76, Reaper, you two are working together? How's that work out? And then you just both in unison go, fuck the red team.
Yeah.
Like, that's all these games can ever be. Like, it is also famously the failure of Team Fortress 2 that they made an attempt to do an ongoing narrative of the comics and just never fucking finished it.
Never did the last issue.
It's amazing.
Just never did it. Never ever will either.
Never. You know, they're gonna let that game languish forever, because it's, I don't know if you saw, that game hit overwhelmingly negative on Steam.
Don't worry, that's on the docket.
Well, let's talk about it now.
Normal behavior. Yeah, we can move on.
Actually, there's a couple more games I want to talk about here, though, because there are some that stood out. Astrobot.
Yeah.
I want to play Astrobot.
I don't have a PS5.
I feel somewhat negative. My only, like, the only thing I feel negatively about Astrobot, and, like, if I had a PS5, I would be playing it.
Sure.
I feels very sour seeing all the references to Sony Japan Studio video games. Like, no, Sony, you killed those.
Yeah, you ate those.
You don't get to make references to them in Bloodborne. Go to hell.
We could have another, like, eco-type game from them, but you killed them.
Yeah.
We could have more Parappa. You haven't greenlit it.
Just make a Parappa.
You could have made a Parappa. You could have made another eco-type. You should have just let those guys make another eco-type game, like fucking Shadow of the Colossus and that other one that nobody played. But, like, you didn't. You just killed the studio to make more dog shit, and now nothing's coming to your platform ever except for Concord.
Yeah, and you go, hey, remember all these IPs, none of which have had a game in, like, 20-plus years?
Mm-hmm.
The other two I wanted to talk about was Dynasty Warriors Origins, which I have not played a regular Dynasty Warriors.
That's how you know the industry's healing.
Since the PS2.
We're getting unlicensed Dynasty Warriors games.
Yeah. It's just Dynasty Warriors, baby. We are back in China. And then the other one I want to talk about was Infinity Nikki. Which is very
funny.
Which is the only time I felt like any amount of joy after seeing Concord for 15 minutes.
Infinity Nikki is one of the funniest things ever. There is a very famous quiz. You can look it up. Because Infinity Nikki is
Yes.
a spin-off. You know exactly what I'm about to say. Infinity Nikki is a spin-off of the Love Nikki series. It's a series of mobile games. It's a fashion game series, right?
Right.
There's a quiz you can look up that is called, is this lore from Dark Souls or Love Nikki? You would be surprised at how hard that quiz is.
Yeah, it is a relatively difficult quiz.
Especially if you're like me and you've never played any like Dark Souls stuff. Don't know. Absolutely no idea. No, thank you.
Someone discussing it in our server recently pointed out, like, the tell that will get you through most of them is that the Love Nikki and Darling Nikki or Infinity Nikki, whatever, their lores will tend to talk about people more personally, like, and they'll use a lot more, like, wording that refers to, like, the feeling of something. But that's not a hard and fast rule.
No.
There's some where it's like, okay, by this rule, this would definitely be a Infinity Nikki thing. It's like, no, it's just from Dark Souls 1.
Yeah.
Fuck me, dude.
God damn. No, that quiz is super hard. Please go Google it. Look it up. It's really funny. It's extremely hard. Please enjoy.
It's a sequel to my other favorite one of these from yesteryear, which is this a drill tweet, a Kanye tweet, or Shakespeare? Also a deceptively difficult quiz.
That sounds very difficult, actually, yeah. Next, though, I wish Oates were here for this one.
No,
but
okay.
Like a Dragon Yakuza live-action series, adaptation of hit Sega game heading to Prime Video.
Might be good.
It could be good.
Could be good.
We'll see.
The problem is, once again, we live in a world where the Cowboy Bebop series exists, but also One Piece exists. But also Fallout exists.
It's so true.
There's no longer a rule. It just depends on whether or not you have people who care at all working on it.
That's right.
Yeah, this could go either way. And, I mean, fuck, the guy they got playing Kiryu looks amazing.
Yeah.
It is apparently going to be set between 1995 and 2005, so like between 0 and 1.
Okay.
I guess. So which is kind of cool because it's not going to adapt any specific game. So we'll see. It'll probably be more accurate than the movie was. But will it be better?
We'll see.
They've got... Okay, so I'm looking at... Takeuchi Ryoma, who's playing Kiryu, was in a lot of Kamen Rider, apparently. So he knows how to fight for a camera.
Right.
So that's good. That's what you should get a guy who's done Kamen Rider fights. Yeah. Shit. I guess we'll see.
It could be good. It could be dog water. Who knows?
Apparently it's coming out this year.
Oh, wow.
Which is crazy. Like in October.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Next, Jeff Keighley wants you to lower your expectations for Summer Game Fest.
Oh, don't worry, Jeff. Mine are already in hell.
Yeah, no, don't worry. Don't worry.
Hey, Jeff. Do you want to tell us why we should be lowering our expectations?
Hey, Jeff, why aren't a lot of things coming out this year,
Hey, Jeff, what happened?
Hey, Jeff, so I feel like something really big and cataclysmic has happened to, like, the industry as a whole that might, I don't know, prevent video games from coming out this year.
Jeff?
Jeffrey?
Why aren't
Jeffrey?
we seeing Ken Levine's Judas
Jeffrey
at the Summer Game Fest?
Jeffrey, I've heard through the grapevine that something terrible has happened to the entire video games industry, Jeffrey.
Do you want to elucidate on this at all? Maybe make some kind of a statement? Even a little, Jeffrey?
Jeffrey, do you want to explain the fires?
Jeffrey, why is the entire industry on fire? Will you tell that to us? I love the idea of calling him Jeffrey. I'm doing this from now on. That's good.
I feel like when you're annoyed at someone but aren't yet at the phase of like hurling rocks at them is when you give someone a little Lordlington name.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, in Resident Evil 7 where what's his face Lucas calls Chris Redfield Christopher.
Yeah,
and it feels like spiritually wrong.
It feels painful.
That's me. Like, I don't do it often because I'm rarely in that kind of mood. But it is the exact same scenario in which I had to go Benjamin.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
I know your name's Ben. I know your name's Ben. I'm calling you Benjamin because I need the flourish to indicate my sourness.
The problem with my name is that Ben to Benjamin is the worst of those.
Yeah.
Because if you're saying Benjamin, something fucked up. No one goes by Benjamin, right? Like no one
does. Go by Jeffrey, right?
No one's gone by Benjamin like since the ye olden days of being Mr. Kitestring himself.
Yeah.
He's the last guy who ever called himself Benjamin.
And I think even Ben Franklin called himself Ben Franklin.
Yeah.
He signed letters like that.
In the immortal words of Tenacious D, Ben Franklin was a rebel indeed. He liked to get naked and smoke on the weed.
If my full name is a Gunshot.
Yeah, it's true. Sorry, Ben. But no, don't worry. I already had extremely low expectations for Summer Games Fest. Yeah,
my expectations are already in the gutter. Don't worry, because you said there's not going to be a Kingdom Hearts 4 here, which did cut off like 50% of my interest in Summer Game Fest.
My expectations for Summer Games Fest are always low, just because I hate them. I hate Summer Games Fest. I'm going to watch it for content because I'm legally required to by my participation.
We think it's funny to make you suffer. That's honestly it.
Yeah, I have to pay for my foibles and misdeeds.
That's right.
In some way. However, I need you all to understand that even though I am watching it, if I had my druthers, I would just not bother. I would not pay. Like, the only show I care about is the Microsoft show, and it's only because I want to see how desperately they lie.
I want the Schadenfreude, like, really badly. Yeah.
I want to see Phil sweating.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh yeah. I want to see Phil. I want to see the isolated room they put Phil Spencer in to record this, because
just so nobody will boo and throw tomatoes at him.
Because there's no way he's gonna be on a stage at all in front of other people.
No, God, no.
I do sincerely wonder when we're going to get the Microsoft presentation, and it's just Phil like kneeling on the little mat and drawing his wakizashi. It's like, all right, I have a couple of game announcements for you first, and then we're gonna get to what everyone has been waiting for. The price of my mistakes.
Phil Spencer and Bud Dwyer shaking hands.
I think more funny than like any version of the fucking Bud Dwyer meme is the one where it's him with a fucking face app smile. It's all, it's like, no, I have to live.
Yeah.
That's Phil every day.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Oh
fuck. I do think though, if Phil is gonna bring out the wakizashi, you do have to have Todd Howard be his second, right?
Agreed, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or what should happen is just Todd Howard should just come out and, like, put his hand on Phil's chest and just harvest his soul like Shang Tsung.
Yeah, because then you have the obvious thing, which is that Todd Howard gets pulled away from Bethesda, a ship which he cannot manage, to be the next head of Xbox, which he will also horribly mismanage.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. But at least when Todd does it, it'll be funny.
We won't viscerally hate Todd the way we all for now.
Yeah,
the way we all viscerally hate Phil Spencer.
I don't think Todd will intentionally fire 100,000 people. I think he'll just chase them away.
Yeah.
I think he'll find a way to make Xbox so unprofitable that the people who work above him are like just go, no, we're firing all these people who work under you, figure it out.
Yeah.
And Todd's like, well, you're still paying me like $50 million a year to do this. So sure, I'll figure it out.
Sure.
Whatever.
Yeah.
God.
Let me make Starfield 2.
I want to make I think even if if fucking Todd Howard was in charge of Microsoft, they wouldn't let him make Starfield 2.
No, not at all.
No. Starfield's never getting a sequel.
I'll be surprised if its DLCs actually come out.
Yeah, even the bloodsuckers at Microsoft will be like, no, Starfield 2 will take too long.
Yeah, not happening.
Oh, it'll be a terrible show. I'm so excited.
What's next?
Team Fortress 2 players gather over 140,000 petition signatures in the latest campaign against the ongoing aimbot menace. And yes, it did hit overwhelmingly negative in most recent reviews.
That's correct. They're never going to unfuck that game. I'm sorry. Like,
never.
No, Valve is literally going to let, like, they're, like, probably at this point, now that they've totally screwed the pooch on Half-Life, their most beloved flagship, like, game, they are going to let it die possibly the most undignified death a game can die, right?
Yeah.
Like, a death a death by 1,000 cuts done by bots, right?
Yeah, a death of neglect.
It's not going to, like, go gentle into that good night. They're not going to shut it down with, like, tearful goodbyes because they don't want to manage the servers anymore. Like, it's going to keep running, because you want to know what? You can still, even with the state that Team Fortress 2 is in right now, you can still spend your human money on cosmetics.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. It's like there's going to be no tearful shutting down servers because they just don't really have them.
Yeah.
Like, that game's mostly peer-to-peer. Like there technically are official servers.
Yeah, I guess so.
Unquote.
That's true.
But it's like, unlike every other modern video game, Team Fortress 2 will never die because you can just have people go like, yeah, here's my Team Fortress 2 server. And Team Fortress 2 is like, cool, do you want to join that person's Team Fortress 2 server they've installed God knows what onto?
Yeah. Team Fortress 2 has been running on autopilot on Valve forever.
Every time I get a news post in my Steam, it's like, hey, look, there's a news post that's like a Team Fortress 2 update. It's some shit that the community is doing that Valve just sort of lets them post about with the main game channel.
There's never been a more inmates running the asylum than Team Fortress 2.
It really is.
And not even the inmates took over. It's that the guards just left, and the inmates are like, "What do we do now?"
Well, the inmates went to the warden like, "Hey, we think we know how to run this jail better than you do." And the warden's like, "All right, cool. Here's the keys. I'm gonna continue taking my paycheck, but you guys can do whatever the fuck you want."
They're doing things in TF2 servers that not even God knows about. It sucks because for a while it looked like the bot problem was going away.
Yeah.
Like there was as I played recently and a couple months ago, it was clean. Like I was getting good games in.
Yeah.
And then it just started getting worse again.
I just wonder who's it for? What's the benefit?
What's the purpose of the bots?
Yeah, that's because there was a bot problem years and years ago, but the bot problem was not that they're all playing snipers that immediately headshot you whenever you're in range. It was they're just poorly optimized to get numbers in someone's private server to coax them, to coax players in, because they're like, oh, the server's almost full, I'll be able to get in and play a match, and it's all a bunch of generic bots. And they want you to get to your private server so they can show you an advertisement or try to get you to buy something or whatever. Yeah. But these are just... Is it harassment? Is it just trolling?
I feel like it must just be trolling at a certain point, because it is it's not like there's any money or clout to be made in Team Fortress 2 for anyone anymore. Right. They're not... there's no numbers in this game.
Yeah, they're not what I remember is they were playing badly encoded music for one thing, over their headset or whatever. Mm-hmm. And there were some that were trying to advertise aimbot services. but
I
that's
guess those
like,
ads were very successful.
but those are like, that's not, you're not buying, it's not like, you know, and this is something that I would like, you're not buying things that make it easier to play like FF14, right?
Right.
You know, like mods or whatever, like the article we had a while ago about the first clear of the Savage Raid where they used camera mods and whatnot. A bot just runs by itself. You're not enhancing your gameplay of Team Fortress 2. You're paying a bot to play the game for you.
Yeah, so what do you get out of it?
What is your benefit? Your stats go up?
I don't know. I don't understand.
Yeah.
It's the mind. It's a sick mind that wants to use bots in a game like TF2, right?
Yeah, like there's no... I can't think of the benefit of someone who actually enjoys playing TF2 would see in a bot.
Yeah.
So... Come on, Valve. You have to notice that your flagship game is now an overwhelmingly negative. Like that one, you have to see. You have to notice that one, right?
I doubt
least,
it. I
right?
mean, like, there's nothing. They really. I mean, they don't even care. They're too busy with their Overwatch clone that's going to be dead in 6 months. You know.
Yeah, the Overwatch clone that's going to be like their Hearthstone clone, where it's in early access for 3 months and then they just delete it and pretend it never existed.
Yeah, exactly.
Because Valve is a company run by insane people.
Yeah, they're just it's a company that literally only knows how to run Steam and like kind of nothing else. They don't really make any. They made Alex for somehow, like by the very grace of God, they made Alex.
By gutting the studio that was making in the
Valley of the Gods,
in the Valley of the Gods, and just going, hey, finish this Half-Life game for us.
Yeah, they literally the people who made extremely fun, basically walking simulator, but I liked it a lot. Firewatch, they were like, no, we're gonna make Camposanto make this game instead, and then literally the writer at Camposanto left Valve because he was like, what am I doing here? What is the purpose of me if we're not going to get to make the games we want to make? So, yeah. It fucking sucks. No, if it weren't for the fact that they run Steam, I think I have more vitriol for Valve than I do companies like Konami.
Valve is a company where it's like, look, I hate to be the guy who's like, maybe we need managers.
But like, maybe we need managers?
Yeah.
Because Valve's whole thing is like, it's supposed to be like a relatively low hierarchy, like, there's not managerial structures in it generally. It's just people who make the games with no, like, kind of, with no production hierarchy. And the result is that they just don't make games anymore. Period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's...
Like, even their most recent, like, Counter-Strike 2 or whatever is mostly, like, outsourced to a subsidized developer, if I recall correctly. It's not actually, like, the main Valve people for the most part. It's, like, whatever weird offshoot studio they have specifically to do Counter-Strike.
Yeah, it turns out you do actually need someone in charge to tell you what to do if you want a product to come out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the nature of the business, baby. You kind of figured that one out a long time ago. Like, yeah, it sounds good on paper to just be like, oh yeah, we're all free to do whatever we want and work on it whenever we want, but that doesn't put product out.
No, it's absurd. It's a company run by insane people who doesn't do anything but essentially publish video, like, not even publish video games, excuse me.
Yeah.
Run a storefront for video games,
yeah.
right?
Well, the thing is that it's just like they don't have to care because they make such infinite money that it's like, well, it's not like we're going to lose money.
Yeah. It's
bleak.
Yeah, it's a very depressing position to see Valve put into. Like, all that creativity and all that energy and all that goodwill just being like squandered after well over a decade of waiting for things to get better.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, it's TF2, you guys. Come on. I mean,
there's nobody left except maybe Gabe himself who actually cares about TF2. And Gabe clearly doesn't care because he's too busy with his, like, 25 yachts.
Yeah.
So, you know. That whole like, era of that company is just over. Like, it just doesn't exist anymore. Everybody who was responsible for it is gone, right? Or they're just coasting off their dividends. So, yeah, that's
right.
it. So.
One final article.
All right, hit me.
Pokemon fan convention reportedly turns into Willy Wonka experience level disaster as attendees report child safety concerns.
I
We've been having so many of these.
What the hell is going on?
The grift economy is in full swing. There's nothing else to really make money off of, I guess.
Yeah.
It is, I will say, I mean, it still fucking sucked, but there was, like, marginally more effort put into it than that Willy Wonka thing.
Yeah, this one was more...
This is more of a dash con.
Yeah, this is a dash con situation where it's just a very poorly run and poorly scheduled event. Like, no AI was involved in the production of this con.
Yeah. This was just, like, a weird... I mean, it was a con in that it was quite literally, like, a con.
Yeah.
And it was just very poorly managed and too expensive for, it was in the Philippines, and like the amount of like the money you spent for like a day there was like way too expensive for like what normal like Philippine conventions run, right?
Well, yeah, because like the Philippines is not an expensive place to do much of anything.
No. And so like the stuff they were charging to get like, it was like, oh, we're charging a lot of money, but you're gonna get a bunch of stuff out of it, and it turns out, no, you're not. It's bad, actually. It's very bad.
And it was things where, like, if you paid for like the deluxe like 3-day package or whatever, like they had a wristband system to determine like what tier you paid for, and they ran out of certain colors, so they had to substitute with different colors, and no one told anyone what the different colors meant, like behind the scenes, and so there was a lot of confusion and complication as to who was supposed to be and where and who was supposed to get what.
Yeah.
There were things like people in the artist alley were told 20 minutes ahead of time that they could not open the doors until like an hour later, which means they lost out on all that time to sell merchandise. Just a lot of like scheduling, like things are like, oh, this event is scheduled here, but now it's moved over here and no one told anyone. Activities were canceled or were not as described because they didn't have the resources to actually put on the proper version they wanted. There was the ravioli man.
Yeah.
There was just a guy who was eating ravioli out of a jar with his hands and smearing ravioli sauce all over things.
Yeah, what's up?
And security had to escort him out after way too many people complained.
It should have taken one person, but no, like it took way
It should have
more.
taken 0 people. It should have taken a security guard seeing a guy smearing ravioli sauce on things to go, hey, we're going to get him out of here.
I disagree. I think they should have let him have full run of the place. I think the ravioli man has some ideas.
They also there's a big long Tumblr or Twitter thread about someone's like personal like experience with it. Someone who won a contest or whatever to go on stage and sing with the guy who sang the original Pokemon theme song. They didn't tell this person that like when it was going to happen and didn't give them a chance to practice at all. And also had to coerce them into doing a few repeat performances without the guy who sang the Pokemon theme song. And didn't tell her ahead of time that she would be doing this.
Oh no.
And yeah, so, and they also, and the one that was the most egregious, like the most horrifying thing of this all was that this singing, performance or whatever was done for the benefit of the Make-A-Wish Foundation. And they brought some of those kids on stage.
No! Why are you describing the plot of the lost season of Arrested Development?
This is like, these are a bunch of very sick kids being brought out into a public unmasked event.
Oh no!
And being told to introduce themselves and...
Man, this is a Curb Your Enthusiasm enthusiasm bit. What? No, I didn't read that far into the thread.
Yeah, no, it's night. Like the whole thread is like it's like you know, they didn't schedule things properly. They didn't tell people who were like the guests like what was going on, whatnot. You get to the ravioli man, and then you're like, okay, go on. Like that's the first hook is the ravioli man appears.
Oh my god!
And then the rest of it, you scroll down and keep going until you get to, oh yeah, they brought a bunch of sick immunocompromised kids out in public. And didn't even get to meet the stars of the Pokemon anime that were there.
Amazing.
Like,
horrible. But I think it's just horrible.
Yeah.
That's it.
There is nothing more to say. It's just terrible.
That's it. That's all I got.
Yeah, and now this person is now in a huge fight with the con staff because
of course.
Because they took a bunch of pictures and uploaded them of this person's friends, and none of those friends consented to their picture being on the website.
Sure.
And the site's like, well, we're not taking them down. We don't want to do that.
Right. Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Fucking disaster. Great. Fantastic.
I love it. I mean, not for these kids, but like everything else is just like, come on.
Yeah. Okay.
DashCon 2!
It's been almost exactly 10 years since DashCon. So
Yay!
welcome back.
Every so often, we must reinvent DashCon.
All right, that'll do it, though. That's all we got.
Okay.
Thank you to Broke Free for use of background music. You can follow us all on our social medias. Email us at thegorgepodcast@gmail.com. Join our Discord. Come talk to us about stuff. Come watch our stream. And we stream Summer Game Fest this Friday. And then we'll also do the Microsoft show on Sunday.
Yes.
And I think that's all we've planned. I don't think we're going to do like future games. I thought we
said maybe PC game show.
Maybe PC games. We'll see how we're feeling after
games?
Microsoft. I think PC games is... Yeah, let me check the schedule.
PC games will at least have things in it that are probably real.
Yeah.
It'll also probably have like 45 minutes of advertisements for AI.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, so Summer Game Fest is 5 o'clock Eastern on Friday, and that's for 2 hours. We'll probably not do Day of the Devs, because I don't care about that.
No.
Probably also not do Devolver Direct, because that's like at 8 o'clock.
Also, like...
I might do that one by myself, if anyone else wants to join me.
That's just like a... Devolver Direct is always just sort of like a 15 to 30 minutes of like a bit with like marginal game stuff in it. Like,
yeah.
Well, if you want to watch that, just watch it on your own time, so you don't have to listen to us chuckle fucks.
Yeah.
Yammering over it.
Probably not do anything on Saturday, because Saturday is just Future of Play, Wholesome Direct. I guess the Future Game Show, but that's never really good.
Imagine if I could remember what any of these are, except for the fact that the phrase "wholesome direct" does make me want to begin doing Minecraft files.
Yeah.
We'll keep you posted.
Yeah, Sunday we're definitely doing Xbox, and we'll probably do PC Gaming Show after that. Okay. But yeah, definitely come join us on Friday for that. That'll be fun. All right, that'll do it for us.
Fuck you, Jeffrey.
Jeffrey, you have
caused me some displeasure, Jeffrey.
Jeffrey, I'm very disappointed in you, Jeffrey.
Why exactly have you been talking about Kingdom Hearts if they're not going to show Kingdom Hearts at the Summer Game Fest, Jeffrey?
It occurs to me, this is a Mabim Bam bit. Like literally, it occurs to me that this specifically saying Jeffrey with this intonation is a Mabim Bam bit from like maybe 10 years ago.
Yeah, listen, sometimes also people will just spontaneously recreate Mabim Bam bits, you know what I mean?
That's right. Tune in next week where we talk about horse emotions.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Night, everyone.